Today, I am joined by the most wonderful Audrey Dickinson, a holistic nutritional therapist and food enthusiast who specialized in hormone and reproductive health. Now, a little anecdote. I actually met Audrey, as women do, in a spontaneous burst of intense sharing in the queue at the doctor's absolutely years ago. We had no idea who the other person was, started talking about life and things, got into a very intense discussion, and then each went our way and didn't see each other again for years. And I love that about women, that way that we can connect and share something which brightens up or gives some hope to us that special day. Anyway, we were introduced again years later, and when I heard that she'd become a nutritionist, I was also very intrigued. Audrey, welcome. Thank you for being here. Can you maybe start with just giving us a brief summary of who you are, maybe where you're from, what you do, and why you do it before we move on to the core of the matter?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for inviting me on here, Julie. It's lovely.
So happy.
My name's Audrey. I'm Scottish. I'm originally from Scotland, and I left Scotland 20 years ago now, I think, and have been moving around into different countries. I've always been fascinated by food, growing my own food, understanding about food, how it works in my body. And I then decided I wanted to study nutritional therapy, which I did over a number of years, and have now been running my own practice now for almost 4 years.
Wow.
As you said, specialising in female health, hormone health. And I had my own issues with hormone and fertility actually years ago.
Right.
And this kind of brought my curiosity to, again, understanding how does food impact the body? How does it help our hormones?
Wonderful, isn't it? The way that
Yeah,
something which is bad, as in something which is worrying us, you can then turn into actually your passion
my
and then
absolute
share it to the
passion.
benefit of others.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but actually, so teaching women really just to understand their body, their hormone health,
Yeah.
and how we can support that through our food, self-care, and just really mindfulness practices, actually.
Right. Well, I mean, I think you're
Yeah.
exactly what we need in this fabulous After 50 podcast. You mentioned, the M word. I'm still totally unclear if I am in the menopause or just out of it. But all I can say is it has been a real roller coaster with
Yeah.
teenage style mood swings, weight gain, night sweats. I
Absolutely.
mean, some days I can literally cry for half an hour over a dead fly, which
Yeah.
is why I
Yeah.
immediately loved your title, Stay Meno Positive.
Positive. Yeah.
Right. So Audrey, how do we go about it? This thing that we're not controlling, that we don't really understand, and everything that we seem to do before which worked is suddenly not working.
That's the thing, isn't it? And I don't think there's much education before, even when we were in our younger years as women, about what's ahead of us and what to look out for,
Right.
but also to recognize some signals of menopause. And I think a lot of women can suffer many different symptoms and become very stressed and panicked because they think it's possibly another illness or something
Yes.
really bad. And so that's what I like to do, is I like to just inform women about these are the symptoms to look out for. But also, I think it's just about recognizing where you are that day and understanding that you are going through this, second puberty phase.
Oh,
And
good.
there
It is
will be
actually referred
some,
to as that, is it? 'Cause I wasn't
yeah,
aware of that. And I kept thinking, I'm behaving like a real teenager
yes,
here.
because exactly that's what it's almost the same as what you
Yeah.
went through in your younger years when you went through puberty. And just that unknown and hormones that are really trying to find their way.
Yeah.
Should I say the body's just trying to find its way, the brain's trying to kind of recalibrate itself
Yes.
as these estrogen and progesterone hormones are changing.
So that's basically it. Is it sort of in short, as in what's happening to our body? It's as we come to the end of our reproductive cycle, then sort of our
Well, that's right.
children bearing thing, the estrogen and the progesterone go down.
Well, exactly. First of all, you're starting to lose your follicles and you're not ovulating as much. And as we know, after ovulation, our progesterone rises. So for
Okay.
you losing our follicles, we're also then losing our progesterone because our progesterone is not being stimulated by our ovulation.
And
So,
what's progesterone actually do?
so progesterone is our hormone that actually keeps us really calm.
Oh,
It keeps us
okay.
exactly. It's on the second half of the cycle that keeps us nice and calm. It helps to keep the uterus lining really thin. Also, the blood flow light as possible. So when we're losing these, as you had said there, we're losing that ability to also working as an anti-inflammatory. So
Ah,
then our
okay.
body's then becoming more pro-inflammatory. We're unable to maybe control some of our anxiety. So you can see, and then therefore that means your progesterone has started to drop. So there's a good chance that your estrogen is becoming high.
Okay. And the
And this,
estrogen does
oh,
what?
now estrogen, that's fascinating that you actually say that, because estrogen is connected to many systems of our body. So, our brain health, our respiratory system, our immune system, our bone health, all is connected to estrogen in some
You
way.
see, we don't know that.
Well, and one of the things I would say that I see quite a lot as well is that estrogen is really connected to our immune system, but it also stimulates our histamine.
Right.
So a lot of the menopausal symptoms that we have, maybe due to estrogen, could in fact be due to high histamine.
Now, wait a minute. So histamine, because we're not all as knowledgeable as you,
Nope.
histamine, I thought it was that thing that you get, when you get like hay fever or, spinach or something like that has a lot of histamine or something in it.
Exactly. So what you have is you have histamine that the body's producing naturally. The immune system is stimulating histamine to create an inflammatory response when we have pathogens or we have pollens or allergens coming into the body. So the
Okay.
body's already producing quite a lot of high histamine due to, seasonal changes.
Right.
And then we start to eat high histamine foods. Our cup then overflows, doesn't it?
Right. So what is a high histamine food? Sorry for interrupting you all the time with all my
Oh, no,
questions.
not at all. So you could think of avocados,
Okay.
spinach, as you mentioned, tomatoes, aubergine, alcohol.
Uh-oh.
Alcohol.
Uh-oh. Don't say that one. These are all the things I like.
I know. And certainly, as you said, myself, I'm 50 now, and in my perimenopausal years, maybe in menopause, I don't know at the moment. But I've certainly noticed that even one glass of wine just
Mm,
sets me over the edge.
mm,
And for those ladies that are in sort of that perimenopausal stage when estrogen's high, that second week into your cycle when estrogen's high,
mm.
then having a glass of wine might not be a good idea.
Right. So it's really knowing. So these are food we should avoid or at least reduce
I
during the menopause. I mean, afterwards it's okay because the thing that I'm finding a bit strange is because linked to the weight,
Yeah,
I've been looking up, what should I not be eating anymore? Of course, we're all different, but what should I not be? So that's less carbs, more protein, etc. And most of the diets I'm looking at, when I look at your list, I mean, avocado is one of the things that they're recommending. I mean, some of the diets I seem to be having an avocado every day, and I'm thinking, well, this
that's
is not
right.
right.
And avocados are a real essential fat. They're a fantastic, great source of a good fat to get into your diet. But we have to be very mindful of what we say about eliminating and taking away out of our diets,
Mm,
especially when we're in this phase of our life when our body needs all the nutrients it can get.
right.
What I am saying though is the avocados and the high histamine foods, you will feel yourself when you are responding to these foods in that phase of your monthly cycle. I certainly know myself, I will wake up and I'll feel in the inside of my mouth, I almost feel as if it could become a bit certainly inflamed, but the tissues feel
Rough a bit.
inflamed, a bit rough, but maybe there's a
Yeah.
potential to get an ulcer
Right.
in my mind. And also another thing I notice myself is I get a lot of pressure in my head. And
Okay.
then I know, okay, for the next few days, I really need to be
Right.
careful of
So it really is
my
cyclical.
intake.
So we have to learn to recognize, almost as you
Right.
say, on a day-to-day basis, how am I today, where we could
Exactly.
be. Now, but so when we're talking about, let's say, people who are in the menopause or even maybe coming out of it, so this estrogen is going, what we just said, down, right?
So your estrogen, yeah, is continuing to decline.
But then it's not going to come back, is it? I mean, it's not going up and down. It's just getting less and less and less and
Just
less
getting
and
less and
less.
less and less. And not to, and just also to mention that our bodies doesn't stop producing estrogen altogether. It
Okay.
just switches as to where it's made. So estrogen, as we're in the menopause, will be made within our fat cells.
Okay.
and in the adrenals, a small amount in the adrenals, because we still need that small, weaker source of estrogen for all of the other things, the functioning of the brain, bone health, respiratory, and all the other things that I mentioned.
Okay.
So it just becomes a different type of estrogen and a much weaker source.
Right. So
Yes,
how can we help ourselves through all of that? I mean, I liked actually the comparison with puberty. I think in menopause we get very angry at
yeah,
ourselves. Get a hang of yourself, girl, and all that. We should actually be having more self-care.
I know. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. And just what you mentioned there about that anger issue, again, when your hormones are fluctuating, like the estrogen and progesterone, sometimes with some women, that can increase your testosterone. So you really have that kind of more aggressive day.
Yes.
And trying to channel that into something, whether that's a creative outlet in some
Yes.
way, or whether that's, I certainly know for myself, I sing in a choir. And for me, it has been an absolute savior.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
for many other women,
Yes.
at this stage.
So
Just
indeed, so it's to use that because it is
yes,
energy, right? Anger is an energy. So
exactly.
instead of, refusing it outlet, which is probably then going to make you ill in a different way, is to
Yeah.
find a positive outlet for it.
Positive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, certainly someone that I've met recently, she's a voice coach
Oh,
and
yes.
she's doing these amazing sessions down at the beach. An amazing thing for women and men just to really express, get
Yeah.
really
Let
get
it
out
go.
into
Yeah.
the ocean,
Yeah. That
kind of
sounds very
idea.
therapeutic, actually. So, how can we go about this? Here, you're saying we need to monitor. Okay, so I think, I mean, to do that, we would need, to maybe do a course or at least look really into exactly what does it mean? What are we looking for? When this happens, what do we do? But for the
Yes.
sake of today, because we are staying sort of more on a general level,
Yes.
and I promise
Absolutely.
help in general lines, what can we do now, which is probably applicable to most women, knowing that the audience, of course, will be a whole mix of perimenopause, menopause,
Yeah.
postmenopause.
Yeah. Yeah.
What can we do to help ourselves?
Yeah. So within my toolkit, the 5 things that I have within my toolkit that help me every single day
Right.
is I am very much a fan of doTERRA products, essential oils.
What
And
was
I
the first word you said? What products?
the brand is called doTERRA
Oh, it's a brand. Okay.
and
Right.
it's an essential oil and they have numerous types of essential oils in there, but I'm going to give you the 3 that I use on a daily basis just to kind of really, actually 4, just to help clarity of mind, just for motivation, and also really to help me with I'm experiencing headaches quite a lot.
Yes, I do
I'm
too.
going to start with that first of all. And the one that I use, it's called Deep Blue.
Okay.
And this deep blue, I use it as it's kind of like if you had some muscle ache, you would
Yes.
rub on a sort of camphor or a
Yes.
wintergreen. It's kind of that idea. And I put 1 drop of that in some oil, it's a carrier oil, jojoba oil, and I put that on my temples and around the back of my
Oh,
neck.
you literally sort of massage it a
I
little bit in.
literally massage it into my temples. I might put it across the top of my head, bearing in mind essential oils are, especially these, are very, very pure. You need
Okay.
1 drop.
Right.
And what I find was with that is I put it on and I might go and sit down quietly or lie down even in bed for maybe
Mm.
15 minutes, 20 minutes, just to let myself settle a bit. That is wonderful for me. That really shifts that
Okay.
headache. The next one I use is called Clary Cam, and it's made from Clara sage and some other extracts of herbs are in there as well. And this is in a roller form. So it's actually mixed with fractionated coconut oil. And
Okay.
I rub that onto my wrists and again on my neck. Absolutely amazing for your hot flushes.
Oh, really?
Sage is known to be wonderful for hot flushes.
Maybe I can sleep with the bottle. I only have them at
But
night and wake up
well,
drenched.
well, do you know what I do? I actually put this on at night when I go to bed,
Okay, that
and
sounds
I
good.
don't waken up as much, and I do
Right.
not have as many hot flushes.
We'll have to have you back another time to go into exactly how aromatherapy works, because I think lots
Absolutely.
of us
I
are a
mean,
bit like,
look,
okay, it smells
that's just
nice, but
yes. I mean, really, they are wonderful, wonderful products to use for me anyway, and I get a lot of results from them with my menopausal symptoms.
right.
The next thing, though, I really do, and I can't recommend enough, is hydration.
Okay.
Drinking herbal tea and water throughout the day
Sadly.
really helps with your joint pain.
Okay, herbal teas, any particular ones? Because there are so
Herbal
many.
teas, sage,
Sage. Oh, I love sage.
sage tea, and I grow sage in my garden. It's absolutely fantastic, and I really, yeah, I get that into myself most nights or most
Okay.
days. Another one I use is called Lady's Mantle that I've recently started drinking that you can
Yes.
get in the health food stores. What else would I drink? Another nice chamomile
Yeah.
or, a fennel tea, but that would be more for my digestive health because some
Yes.
women as well have a bit of digestive issues as well. In
Yes,
the
I hope we're going to get to that one too, because that's big on my list as well.
yeah. And
Okay, so hydration. So the oils, hydration.
yeah, I would say also in the morning a really good source of protein to start you off in the morning. First thing for breakfast.
So like what?
Eggs, for example, I'm always putting eggs together with whatever I can. I literally open the fridge door and say, right, what vegetable have I got in there
Yeah.
that I can just put in together. So eggs are a really good one. A nice Greek yogurt with some lovely nuts in there and your chia seeds and flax seeds, of course. Maybe one or two fruits would be great. So everyone's so different about what they can manage in the morning, but if you can make
Well,
that
stuff. I love oats. I'm an oat fan. I love oats in oat milk, basically. I
oats,
mean,
yeah,
are they okay?
oats are fantastic because oats are as well a phytoestrogen food, so
I love
they
oats.
also,
They're
yeah,
my
getting
comfort
them in.
food.
And a lot of people like to have a bit of an oat in the morning, and that's
Yeah.
great. But I would definitely say that you need to add in there a bit of protein to sustain you longer. For me, oats don't sustain me so
Yes.
well if there's
Yeah.
not, a nuts or seeds
Actually,
or
one of the diets I looked at, it was a diet. It said to put in a teaspoon of peanut butter. I thought, well, that
absolutely.
doesn't sound like a diet to me.
Absolutely. And listen, for me, again, another thing I need to talk about is I don't work in the kind of mindset of any particular diet.
Mm,
I work with women to make them healthy and
yes.
whatever suits their body. And I don't really believe in dieting, I'll be honest,
Yeah.
because, yeah,
Or do I, to be
you don't
honest?
make it some days, you really
I'm
beat
just
yourself up
desperate.
about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
And,
not,
and it's a lifestyle thing, isn't it? It's something that should be
yeah,
part of your everyday life. It's not about
definitely.
starving yourself for 2 weeks and then just putting it straight back on. I mean,
No,
not that I eat unhealthily at all, but I am realizing that my very healthy way of eating is now still making me put on weight. So that's sort of the difference part of that. Because I mean, you do a lot with food as well, don't you? I mean, I've seen some of your posts flash by
yeah,
on LinkedIn and a little film about cooking the other day. Um,
exactly.
because
Yep.
you've taken menopause to a different level, right? You're also talking to corporates about this.
Exactly. I'm also offering, as I said, I like to educate people and educate women about their bodies, but they need to know how to implement that into their life
Yes.
using food. So, what I do with corporate is I offer workshops that combine nutrition knowledge and cooking skills.
Yeah.
And the one I did recently was all about bitter foods as well. Now, bitter foods are really important in our diet.
Bitter foods, as in that taste bitter.
Exactly. So,
Okay.
bitter foods, we have bitter taste receptors at the back of our tongue, but we also have bitter receptors actually in our gut, which
Oh,
help us to absorb glucose. Now, what I find is women get into the menopause, their ability to use insulin that helps us get glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells. Many women actually they can't use insulin as well, so they end up with an insulin resistant situation.
okay.
But getting bitter foods into the body really helps within the gut to kind of stimulate and these bitter receptors and use glucose in a more efficient way.
Now, bitter food, would that also be something like raw, what's it called? Sauerkraut. I can't remember the word
Well,
proper.
that would be more of a fermented food.
That's
It
more of a
isn't
fermented, because I know that
cabbage.
sometimes I crave that. And somehow when I eat it, even though I think that's high in histamine as well, isn't it?
It's,
It's grateful. I don't know how I could say
yeah,
it. It settles. It feels like,
well,
thank you, I needed that.
yeah, you're kind of really offering that really beneficial bacteria into the gut, you
Okay,
know?
but so that's not a bitter food. So what is a bitter
So
food?
bitter foods could be things like endives and chicory,
Right.
rocket, chio.
Ichio, is that different from radish? I'm sorry, you're a
Yes,
very
so
much a food
radicchio is,
specialist and I'm lost
yeah,
in
no,
all of
no,
this.
no, not at all.
It's
Radicchio is
radish,
like a purple looking,
the bigger one.
the bitter one. It's like a
Yeah.
purple looking lettuce cabbage that has purple and white veins that run.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, you don't see it very much in your supermarkets, but you will see it in, for example, some of the markets that you would find, certainly in Den Haag, where we're living, Prince Hendrikplein on a Thursday. They have a market,
Okay.
and you'll find radicchio there.
Are there any easy ones? I mean, sort of bitter doesn't mean, so it's
So,
not chewing on a lemon or
no, well, you think of rocket, you'd maybe add rocket leaves into your salad, maybe
okay.
some pink grapefruit.
Oh,
Pink grapefruit
yes.
you would have in the morning is a nice, refreshing start and a bitter taste to the mouth, alongside maybe your porridge or
Yes.
your
Now that
porridge.
sounds so nice.
You know, thinking about cranberries. Cranberries are bitter
Oh, I
foods.
like cranberries as well. So they're not the dried ones, the fresh ones then
The
probably.
fresh ones that you
Yeah.
would probably, because the dried you've got to be careful of the sugar content, the
Yes,
time that
exactly.
added into
Yeah.
there. But then again, our dried foods, or our dried fruits, should I say, are our phytoestrogen foods. And a tip I might give you about that is if you're buying apricots, buy the apricots that are brown and not orange,
Right.
because they have that added preservatives in there. You know,
Okay. Now, what about figs? I adore figs. I
eggs.
would live off figs
Yes.
and nuts and apples, probably. It would be my preference.
Yeah.
However, I think I've been told quite a few times that they're not what I should be eating. Does that have histamine in figs?
Well, they're dried fruits again, so yes, there
Do.
can be a
Yeah.
certain amount
Yeah.
of. But
Yeah.
keep coming
That's
back
maybe
to,
why.
so just be careful what kind of language we use, and I'm always very mindful of how I say this. Is again, observe how your body's reacting yourself. Take things in small, moderate amounts. You know, we're always trying to find a balance and equilibrium with everything that we do,
Yeah.
and you will see yourself how you're reacting to
I mean, to
that.
be honest, that in itself, I think, is a very worthwhile tip because, I mean, this is your world and you're very attuned and aware of your body, of measuring how do I feel?
Yeah.
How has this food just affected me? Most of us don't. Most of us just
Yes.
charge on. Most
Right.
of the time, I don't even know what I've put in my mouth. I'm not really a
Yes.
foodie. I mean, I know I need to eat stuff. I'm not into meals. I would love, as I say, just nuts and apples and charge out the door. But I mean, I'm not into really being aware of the effect it's having. How do I feel an hour later? What's affecting my digestive system, as we were talking about before, or not? So I think that's probably one of your first steps is that sort of self-care,
Yes.
self-love, as in
Absolutely.
give yourself the gift of actually considering what you're putting in your
What you're
body, you
putting in.
know?
Exactly. And I think as well, especially in the perimenopausal year stages, if we can really get a grasp of that,
Yeah,
our our experience through menopause will be much easier.
yeah,
We can really stop in the moments of every single day to check
yeah.
in with ourselves and where are we. And as you said, most people I see suffer from many different digestive health issues
Yes, very
purely
much so.
because they are eating too fast. And
Yeah,
some people think it's just it's a boring topic, but actually, if I can share anything with you, it is that point there in itself. If you can just put your knife and fork down in between each mouthful, even if it's that one thing, only that one thing.
okay, now I
You
like
are
that because that's something very concrete that
absolutely,
I can actually try to do, which I never do.
yeah, you are going to bring so much benefits to your body because your body's had time to chew it.
Yeah.
It's time to land in your stomach, and your gut can do all the bacteria inside your colon, can do all the marvelous things that it does to absorb all that food that it needs and
Right.
nutrients. So if you do that one thing each day, even that one thing to start,
Well, I think you've given us more than one thing. I
active.
mean, I
Yeah,
can tell I can go on for this
I
for
can go on.
ages. And if
Yeah,
ever
I
you
can
have more time, I would
maybe.
love to have you back and we can look at a different approach or a different part of it. As you say, it's
Yeah,
super complex. It affects so much of us, whether it's our sleep, our digestion, our mood, whether it's how we were just feeling about ourselves, as we see the signs, which come
yeah,
along. And it's
yeah,
about embracing all of that and being loving and caring to ourselves and having that knowledge of what is happening in my body
yeah,
and in how far I embrace the facts which are just pure nature. That is it. I'm a
yeah,
woman and
yes,
I've had my childbearing years and now I'm
yeah.
going through the next stage, and it's
That's
not
it.
better or worse, it's just part of the whole.
Exactly. And it's going to be a wonderful next stage.
Yes,
And
it
that's
is. I
it.
mean, it also comes with
Positive.
advantages.
Oh God, no. Yes, absolutely. It's like exciting to think, right, what am I going to do with the next chapter of my life?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, I'm
Yeah,
free a bit more from my children. I have more time for
yeah.
myself. what can I explore?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we know ourselves that bit better as well. Okay, right, let's summarize. So,
Yeah.
Audrey, in a nutshell, what can they do? So they hydrate.
They can hydrate, they can get a good source of protein in there to sustain them, to prevent blood sugar dipping. They can get themselves into nature every day, every single day. I have an allotment. I'm lucky. I go there. If you don't, even if you have a garden, you have a walk in the park,
Yes.
get into nature.
Why should they go out in nature?
Why does you go out into nature? You need to get the sunlight into your eyes. You have to get into the back of the retina in the back of your eyes. That will help to stimulate your circadian rhythm properly. That will also be connected to
Right.
your hormones.
So yes, nature, the oils as well.
The doTERRA oils, the Clara sage, the deep blue for the
Yep.
headaches. And I use rosemary. I diffuse rosemary into the house because it's known to help with concentration. So when
Okay.
I'm at home working, it's a fabulous one to diffuse into the house.
Okay.
And the last thing
Concentration.
I'd probably say is magnesium.
Right.
Get yourself some magnesium to help with your sleeps, to help with your hot flushes, and to help you relax.
Now, magnesium is one of those ones which isn't that readily available in food, isn't it?
Oh, well, you can, of course, yes, in your leafy greens, there's lots of
Leafy
magnesium in
greens.
all of your leafy greens,
Okay.
your dark greens. What else could we say? In lentils, all these sort of other
Isn't that also in black chocolate?
dark chocolate. Yes, yes, it's in dark
Good.
chocolate.
Good one.
That's a great excuse for your wee nibble of dark chocolate there.
Exactly.
But there's different types of magnesium, and the ones that work for me would be malate citrate. I take it in a powder form, and I take it at night when I'm feeling a bit tense. I'm maybe feeling like I've got jumpy legs,
Right.
and
Recognizable.
just to help control the hot flushes and helps me sleep
Okay.
a lot better.
Mali citrate magnesium.
Malate, so Malate.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you, Audrey. I'm afraid for today, I'm going to have to stop, even though I would just feel that, there's so much, and it's just so reassuring, to be honest, to talk about it, to be
Yes.
able to do something, right? To feel that, okay, yes, we do need to embrace this, but that doesn't mean that we have to live for a certain amount of months or even years in misery and in the dark. There is more and more awareness, of course, around all of
Yeah.
this. And now, how can people get hold of you, Audrey? Because some people might want to take this a step further.
Yes. So my website is www.nourishandflourish.com.
Fabulous name. Nourish and flourish.
.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. It's Audrey Dickinson nutrition for my Instagram account and Audrey.Dickinson for Facebook. And you can find all of my information there for my email address that you can drop me a line. I offer free 20-minute discovery calls. We can chat and I can see how I can help you feel so much better about yourself and
I feel
reduce.
better already. I feel better already. I do, just knowing that you're out there. Audrey, thank you very much for taking time to share that with us
I
today.
have
I
one
think
small quick thing, a course actually on menopause and perimenopause. That'll be a 6-week course and it'll all be about your body, menopause, but fun things.
sound like exactly what we need. And that's also what this podcast is about. It's about taking it with lightness, enjoying it as part of the whole, and doing what we can for the less enjoyable parts of it. So you have given us a lot of food for thought. Thank you very much, Audrey.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For the rest of you out there, as always, this is your time to now own the material which has been shared. See what you think about the oils, look them up, the hydration, the foods to avoid, the foods that are good to take. Make a list for yourself of, okay, what can I change? How do I do it based on what Audrey's just shared with us, and when do I start? Wonderful having you all with us today. Stay tuned and let's make these some of the best years of our life. Thank you.
Thank you.